a neuroscientist. I'm Julie Brzezinski-Lewis. I'm a neuroscientist, and maybe we could each introduce ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. Heidi, go ahead.
Hey, hi everyone. I'm Heidi Sherwin. I am a yoga and mindfulness instructor, and I'm really excited to be starting this Mindful Steps 1 again with all of you.
Yes, yes. Thanks, Heidi. Thanks, Julie. I'm Laurel Falconberry. I'm an outpatient therapist at Chestnut Ridge and a member of the mindfulness team. And I'm also super excited to get our 6 weeks going together. And thank you for honoring yourselves and coming today.
Yeah, I love seeing there's a mix of people who have been with us in the past and are returning, and some newcomers. So it should be a really nice supportive week. We need more, social camaraderie. So we have some periods during our mindful steps where we are inviting you to, speak with us and share some of your experiences. So hopefully that will be a fun experience. So this is a course that we've been doing for the last number of years, and we've been teaching a kind of a toolbox of skills, right? So you have what people think of as mindfulness, which is the meditation part, but there's also the yoga, there's the relaxation exercises, the compassion practices that work with the heart. This suite of practices has been around since the 70s and has been shown in numerous studies, which I'll show in upcoming weeks. I give little nuggets of science each week. Has been effective for anxiety, depression, pain, and stress. And so we'll also have these videos, as I mentioned in the beginning, available later so that you can watch them. And we also, I'm going to tell you up front in case people have to leave early, we are inviting you to complete a home practice, which just involves just a couple practices on Qualtrics, just asking you. They're meant to be more of a tool for you, but it also helps us see that you are engaging in the class. So they'll ask you about what mindfulness means to you, and you can start thinking about that right away. Like, why are you taking this class? How could it help me? Those are things that we can kind of seed in your mind and you can start to think about, and that'll help you apply it. Mindfulness has been defined by John Kabat-Zinn, who's often considered the father of mindfulness, as awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. This is quite a loaded statement. It has a lot of things in there. Part is that you're training your attention, which is something that you can see in terms of brain changes, and the fact that you're, training yourself to maybe not be in that, oh my gosh, what happened, or what's worrying about tomorrow or worried about the past, just here in the present moment. If you're with someone, you're in the present moment with them. The other key word here is non-judgmental. Things can come up in practice and we're like, oh gee, I forgot about this, or oh no, I am kind of an angry person sometimes. Non-judgmental, we're just allowing things to be. So here's a little overview of the course. We're just doing an introduction today. Anthony sent a warning about bringing a piece of food that we could do a mindfulness activity with. If you did not get the memo, you can use whatever you're drinking for that as well, or you can take a little time right now to, get a raisin or a potato chip or something. Next week, we're going to get more into some of the main practices. Week 3, embodied mindfulness. We tend to be floating heads, right? So much of what we have to do in our work and practice and life is, about our brain. I actually got a 3D print of my brain. I'm excited. We're not just our brains. We are our entire body. And so doing these practices is going to help us become more embodied. And then we'll do some exercises with the mindful communication, connecting with the heart. And week 5, mindful resilience. Pain. This is going to address pain, both mental and physical. And finally, we'll put a lot of these things together and extend some of the practices in our final week. So First, the science of mindfulness is something that I will address each week. The purpose of that is to give you confidence, like, hey, these tools actually do work. There's actually some, science behind them that can help encourage you to keep going. It can help you kind of understand some of the nuances of the practice. What I'm going to talk about today is sort of this do no harm aspect. Willoughby Britton, one of my colleagues in the field, has been doing research on, some challenges that people have encountered in mindfulness and making sure that you have the right instructions. You are all doing the right thing right now, in that you're not just learning mindfulness from an app. An app doesn't give you connection with a real person. We are always here to answer questions, and we are here giving, you can ask questions real time, or if you're viewing this asynchronously, email Anthony, email one of us. We can work with you if you have some challenges. There are also well-being resources. Actually, Laura, would you like to talk about mindfulness and trauma and how you work with your clients?
Sure. So mindfulness and trauma, and to be real with you, most of us have experienced some level of degree of wounding. We're all human beings. So that we just want to take our time. If you've had trauma, because sometimes closing your eyes and going inward can be triggering. It can be anxiety producing, and you can potentially maybe, have memories or flashbacks with the eyes closed and going inward. So that if you find that happening, it's good to talk to one of us, and to maybe look for some therapy, a therapist who does mindfulness and therapy, so that, the therapist can gauge when you're ready for this. And maybe an eyes open meditation, looking at a flower as such. But just taking the time and creating a safe place, a safe space to do such. Yeah. Julie?
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Actually, we are really lucky to have a trained therapist on the team. That's not always the case at all. So, we have, I think, really wonderful programs in place as resources for anyone affiliated with WVU. And in this course, to have Laurel here, I think it's a really wonderful resource. So I am also going to say that what mindfulness is not a little bit, it's not a Band-Aid. We are not saying, hey, do mindfulness and your whole life is going to be wonderful from now on without any other challenges or problems. I once was approached at a conference because I gave someone an Advil. Actually, it was an Advil from Joan Halifax Roshi, who's a pretty famous like, they were getting a migraine and they're like, you still have headaches? And I'm like, yeah. But I guess it's remarkably changed my approach to having migraines, but it's not going to be magical cure, and it does take time and practice. It's also not about being a mouse. We're not telling you just to be mindful and take any crap the world gives you or something like that. If you see someone being hurt, or you yourself are being harmed by something, you should speak up. But if you are doing mindfulness practice, you're going to do that in a more skillful way that's likely to bring more positive effect in the world. And then also, it's not meant to make you numb. The thoughts and emotions that come in meditation are welcomed with open arms. They usually kind of play themselves out. I'm sure Laura will talk about that in giving meditation instruction. But one of the first papers that I published showed, that the response to the sounds of suffering was reduced when they were doing this very focused meditation. And they're like, oh, it's turning people into Spock. And I'm like, no. The same subjects, could also really had more activation when they did a compassion meditation. So it's possible with that do no harm that some people can use mindfulness as a way of like a depersonalizing. So that is something that could happen if you don't have the proper training, but really it's meant to be something that opens your heart and opens yourself to love yourself and the world. Not just the Spock. I like Spock, but also, what mindfulness is about resilience. Sometimes you are going to have some, foils in life, and if you do have a fall, it's maybe not so hard, and you're able to bounce back up. That's what resilience is. It's not about never falling at all, or never failing, or never, putting your foot in your mouth. But when that happens, you don't go all the way down. You're able to bounce, and that's the effect that it's had on my life. And we're giving you this toolbox. Some things might work with you, some things may not. But there's a whole plethora of tools that hopefully you'll make a connection with some of these, and hopefully it can help reconnect you to the joy and meaning of your life. Everyone, I'm sure, here is doing wonderful things in their life, in their career, benefiting others, and reconnecting with that original intention, I think, is very helpful. So I am going to stop sharing and to do some practice now.
All right. Thank you so much, Julie, for giving that intro and overview. Hey, everyone. It's Heidi again, if you're just getting on and you missed our introductions. So as I shared earlier, I'm a yoga and mindfulness instructor, and I've been practicing yoga for 30 years and teaching for a little over 15 years. And I gravitated towards yoga because I'm a movement person. I like to exercise. I like to play sports. Yet yoga offered me a way to just connect more mindfully in the present, to allow opportunities for my body, breath, and mind, like the many layers of ourselves, to connect in a way that just felt more sincere, and also created an opportunity, a doorway to helping me with my stress and anxiety. So kind of that screen there, slide that Julie had up a little bit ago, some of our intentions and missions for this practice, we can also invoke through our movement. And so movement has a way to kind of bring us back into the body. As Julie said earlier, like sometimes we're just little floating heads. It's like, what are my arms and body doing? I feel like a little jellyfish. But when we move, even if it's just for a little bit, a little movement snack, we kind of get embodied. We're kind of back into breathing and being, and like, what am I doing right now? Who am I talking with? What's my task at hand? And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't take long. We can do long practices. Those are great. But sometimes just a 1 minute little movement snack can like whoosh, bring us back in. And I also find that movement, even if it's just a little bit, can help kind of reset the physical body. If we've been working at a desk for a long time or on our feet and legs for a long time, maybe it's a moment to sit, or maybe it's a moment to stretch, to get some of the physical muscle joint tension out, even if it's for a little bit, because then you can have a snack the next hour, right? So today I'm going to introduce you to the 6 movements of the spine. And this is something, again, that you can do anytime, anywhere. It could be something that you do in the car, little bits of activity, or it's something you could do when you're taking a short little break, or in between seeing patients, or you just need to step away from the desk for a little bit and move the body. You could also create a longer practice with this and get creative. Being creative and playing is part of mindfulness too. So allowing the 6 movements to be kind of like a diving board, just being in the body and creating your own shapes. So I'm going to be doing this today from a standing position. You're welcome to stand as well. You could also get creative in your seat, and a lot of the shapes, all of the shapes, will be able to be accessible in your chair. So for a moment, I'm going to step back so you can see me. I'm going to bring my chair along, as it might be nice for one of the shapes. So 6 movements of the spine. What is that? Right? Well, if you think of your spine and it's not stuck, it's not like a straight rod, right? And we can't really even have a flat spine. We have these natural curves. And by creating 6 movements of the spine, forward, back, rotation, there's 2, right and left, and side to side, right and left, we allow from our center, our lifeline, our spine, to start to wake things up, send some vitality and rejuvenation from the center out into the body, and getting the brain energized and focused for the task at hand. So we're going to go through different shapes to greet these 6 movements. So to start, we're going to invite just our neutral pose to take shape. So if you're seated, you might like to sit with a pillow right behind your back. You can land your feet into the floor. But if you're standing, land your legs and feet into the ground. And if you have shoes on, maybe wiggle your shoes or your toes in the shoes. If you can, slip your shoes off and take a moment with your feet on the ground and rest your arms by your side. And take a moment just to settle in. No judgment of like, oh man, my posture is so bad right now. Just like just be present for how you are in this moment. And then maybe you start to notice, oh man, my breath. Hello, breath. I've been kind of busy today. I haven't really noticed you. Thank you for breathing in and out for me. So settle into the breath, this mountain pose. Can you take 3 breaths for yourself, whether you're in standing mountain or a seated mountain? Spine comfortably tall. Maybe a little softness down through the shoulders. And then noticing the breath, it's going to be like a backdrop here. Invite your right hand to rest to your belly. And as you notice your next inhale, sweep your left arm up. We're going to take a side bend first. So now start to lean over to your right. Maybe that left arm feels heavy and it wants to drape. If it's uncomfortable for the shoulder, you could bring the arm out wider or set it onto your hip. But starting to curve the right ribs in, bowing out the left side. And then on an inhale, bring it back up. Left arm's going to lower, let the body breathe, switch hands, left hand to your belly, right arm sweep it up if that's comfortable, or keep the hand on the hip. And now lean over to your left. One thing I enjoy about side bends, especially if I've been seated for a while or if I've lost track of my breath, it immediately starts to open up the home of our breath, the rib cage, giving a little more space for the lungs. Great. And now releasing that out. Right. With arms back by your side, from here, we're going to sweep the arms out a little wider and bend the elbows comfortably. To create a back bend shape, we're going to do a little play and a little flow. So I'll turn sideways so you can see. Standing in your mountain or seated in your chair, start to think of zipping up from the earth, heart getting a little taller instead of pushing it straight out, but tall, tall, tall through the center of the chest and heart, and then maybe curl and look up. The arms might feel heavy with gravity. They can drop back a little bit. And now breathe out, whether that's through your nose or mouth, and come to neutral. And then inhale, get tall, 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 curl the upper back. Arms might feel heavy, opening the chest a little more. Exhale back to neutral. And do that one more time. Inhale, open up, a little standing back bend. This could be great for the neck and upper back if you do a lot of desk work. And then exhale back to neutral. Nice. From here, bring hands at the center, pressing palms together. Nice. And just check in, see how you're feeling. Right. So from side bend to back bend, let's go back to a little asymmetrical movement, moving into a twist. So for a twist, take your feet comfortably wide. Be a little wider than hip width stance. And if you're seated in a chair, you could even take your legs comfortably wide. A little generous bend into the knees. Taking your right hand again and placing it on the belly, left arm is going to sneak behind your back. The palm is going to face behind you. Right. And now start to turn to the left. Trunk of the body starts to turn. Knees are bent and let the pelvis, the belly, the hips can go along for the ride. Maybe even invite a gaze over your back shoulder, that left shoulder. And then unwind. As you unwind, feel the breath come back in, release the arms. Right. And we'll take that to the other side. Left hand rests gently at your belly, shoulders are soft. Right arm slides behind your back, palm facing away from you. You can bend the knees a little bit and then start to turn to the right. And it's okay if the legs and the hips kind of move along with that twist. And you can keep it going, looking over that right shoulder. I love twists. It's like we have to wring ourselves out to feel a little more refreshed. Bring it back around, unwind from your twist, arms by your side, walk your feet back in, check in, see how you feel. Notice how the trunk feels, any little shimmering of energy, even if it's just very subtle. All right, from side to side, back bend and our twist. The last movement is a forward fold. I'm going to demo with a chair today. So if you have a chair in front of you, if you're standing, you could sit there or use the chair, stand in front of it. You could also use a desk or counter space. If you're seated, you're going to be bringing your elbows down onto your thighs to take your fold. So from a standing position, reach forward either onto the counter, the table, or onto the seat of your chair. And if you have the space behind you, walk your feet back. So starting to create a hinge in your hips, creating that fold. And then noticing the head, and if it's comfortable today, start to move the hips back as you lower the head, almost like it's going to slide between the arms. And then think of getting long through the spine, like it's taffy from tailbone to crown of the head. And if you're seated in a chair, you can do the same thing. Elbows are on the thighs and you're looking towards the ground. Think of getting long through your spine here. In this forward fold shape, take 2 more breaths. And now if you're seated, walk your hands on top of the legs to help you sit back up. If you are using the chair standing, start to walk your feet towards the chair or table or counter, walking up, re-greeting your mountain pose. And as you re-greet mountain after that fold, it might feel nice to roll the shoulders back. A little reset for the neck, shoulders, arms, and back. Land back into your mountain, arms resting to your side. And check in, see how you're feeling here. A check-in, being present on purpose, that's being mindful. See how your body feels, and if any of those movements are ones that you want to repeat throughout the rest of the day, taking your mindful movement snacks with you. And speaking of snacking, thank you for that movement practice. I'm going to transition to Laurel, who's going to guide us in some mindful eating.
Thank you, Heidi, for that mind-body connection. My body feels more awake. I feel more connected to my body, like actually listening to it like it's talking to me. Like, thank you for that stretch. Thank you for waking up my body. Is anyone else, little hand up? Anyone else feeling that? Yeah, I see a hand. Is that Michelle? Yeah. It's like, whoa, just a little bit goes a long way. We can't ignore our body. We get so busy and so future planning or in the past that our poor body gets ignored. My goodness. So this next exercise of mindful eating, in mindfulness, is coming into the present moment. You'll hear us say that time and time again. And what helps us come into the present moment are our senses, our wonderful senses of sight, hearing, taste, smelling, and touching, our wonderful senses, and becoming more mindful of food, more appreciative and slowing down. We have this relationship with food that might be new to you. When I first did this exercise, it was pretty amazing. I was like, wow, I just eat way too fast. I don't enjoy it usually. I'm just inhaling or watching TV or working while I eat. And it's not honoring the process of the enjoyment of eating, actually. So this is going to help us be more mindful in all areas of our life. So whatever food you have, or like Julie said, if you don't have any food around you, a liquid, a beverage. Yes. So typically, if we were in person, I would have given you a little box of raisins or cran raisins, and you'd all have a raisin in your hand. But whatever you have, Julie, what do you have?
I have a dried cranberry.
A dried cranberry. Okay. Heidi, what do you have? Not that it
I
matters.
have some air fryer chickpeas that I made. I'm going to take one of those.
Ooh, okay, I got to get that recipe.
A little crunchy.
Little crunchy.
I'll mute myself so I'm not so crunchy.
That's okay. We can all be crunchy together. I have a cran raisin too. Yeah. So I'm going to put whatever you've brought in your hand. If it's a liquid, you can also put your glass in your hand and then just feel the weight of it. Just it's the touching part. Feel the weight. It's like, okay, thank you, food that's in my hand. I'm just paying attention to you. I'm going to go through my senses with you. So now I'm going to pick it up. And if you have a really mushy thing, like a piece of sandwich or something, you're not going to want to do this. You're going to skip the hearing part. But the hearing part, I can squish my raisin, my cran raisin. So if your food is squishable, go ahead and hear a sound. If it's not squishable, it's okay. You can do it with something else later that you can squish. So I hear a little crunching. Just paying attention to what you hear, coming in with your senses again, grounds you into the present moment. So now bring what you've brought to eat to smell. Let's just take some time it might take a little bit to smell what you're smelling. It's taking me a little bit to smell my cran raisin. But I'm smelling some sweetness and tartness. Isn't that amazing? I'm smelling some tartness. Huh. Hmm. Okay. Great. And now look at it again and just look at the the texture. If it's a piece of sandwich, look at the color, the crevices, the shape. Is it oblong? Is it square? Is it a little bit, what kind of shape is it? What color? Appreciating the color and the shape and the texture of that. Just appreciating what you're holding. Like, thank you. Okay. So now we're going to approach our mouth and start to feel yourself maybe salivating a little bit. Start to feel that process already starting. The salvation, no, salivating, and just start to feel that going. And we're going to put it in our mouth and we're not going to chew. We're going to roll it around a little bit in our mouth. So go ahead now and put it in your mouth. And just take your time with it in your mouth. If you can roll it around, go ahead and do that. If it's kind of hard to do that, just maybe pass it from side to side. Notice what you notice. What do you taste? On parts of your tongue you taste more salt, other parts more sweet. Maybe close your eyes for a minute so you can go inward with this process. It's at the tip of your tongue maybe, or the back. Notice you're salivating. And now slowly begin to chew and take your time. Please just really take your time. If you'd like to, you can close your eyes. Wow. Just take your time with the sensations in your body and notice your breathing. Breathe along with this. Trying to appreciate each bite. Going slow like you've maybe never done before. Notice you want to swallow and try not to, because I almost did. And now it's okay if you swallowed a little bit. When you're ready, take your time. When you're ready, go ahead and swallow. Try to feel it going down even. Try to feel it going down through your body. Try to take your time. Notice whatever you're noticing. Whatever you're feeling is okay. And just think about now where the food came from, how it came to you. Where was it grown? The parts of the food? Was it grown on a tree or in the ground? Is it from an animal or a plant? The farmers, the farm workers that got it going, that got it packaged to the plant, and then the trucks that got it to the grocery store. And then all of that is now in your stomach. Kind of appreciation for that whole process. And just noticing whatever this brought up for you, if it brought up any feelings of pleasure or discomfort or any memories. maybe, we've had some people had childhood memories. Just whatever came to you. So now I'd like to ask you, how was that for you? And please, we're a small enough group. We can definitely speak up if you like to. Yeah, I'd love to hear how that was for you. Yeah. Michelle? Yeah, thank you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
So I don't have anything healthy, but so I had a starburst. That's what I put in my mouth. A cherry starburst. And the things that I noticed the most, I couldn't really smell anything. I thought I'd smell a fruitier smell, but I didn't. It was almost a chemical smell, and I'm sure it's the packaging and whatnot. But when I put it in my mouth and I began to chew it, well, of course I salivated, but I had these little bursts of juice every time I would chomp down on it, which I wasn't expecting. And it was delicious, but I'm just saying I didn't expect these little like juicy, watery, juicy bursts coming out. So that was interesting. Yeah, that's about it. That's what I noticed.
Thank you. And that I sense that was surprising for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't
I don't
that
pay attention that much.
so you noticed that too, right? Yeah. Yeah. And how does that feel in your body to notice in remembering not noticing?
Well, I have some judgments about myself because I'm not a very healthy eater to begin with. So instantly I'm thinking this is not a good thing that I should be doing this activity with. Everybody else had something healthy that talked on the screen, it seemed like. So just kind of paying attention to, I need to kind of take better care of my nutrition. That's what I was thinking, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Powerful, right? Yeah. And you're trying to do it without too much judgment. You're trying to, do it compassionately. I hear you saying
Trying to.
that's the key word. That's what I say to my clients all the time. Trying to. And that's what matters, is that you matter to you and the trying matters. And it's up and down, as we know, slippery slope. Oh, we're treating ourselves compassionately for a week. And then I go, oh my God, I ate a whole pizza and half the Oreos. And then it's like, okay, I'm human, treat myself like I would a 5-year-old, talk to myself like I would a dear good friend. And that is practice, right? It's practice. Oh, thanks for sharing, Michelle. Someone else, please. How was it for you? Was it annoying? Was it pleasurable? Was it surprising?
Laurel,
Brian?
on my video.
Oh,
Hi, Laurel. I did have a healthy thing and I enjoyed it even more than usual, but I think this is a great way to deal with those things that we classify as less healthy. I'm going to have a sweet treat, but this way we can just have a little bit. And if we take our time, we can be satisfied with a little bit. Like I just will get a sweet craving. And if I just sit down and unmindfully like get that bag of M&Ms or something, I'll eat the whole thing, right? But if I can engage being mindful and even better, like put it out in a portion cup, right? But then just say, oh, I'm going to enjoy every single individual M&M. And it goes a lot further, right? And you get the equal amount of pleasure with way less guilt. So.
Right. Yeah. Yes, Donna. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I hear you. And it's so good to see you again. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Was that who just posted about the apple? Is that Brian or no? Who's that? I had let's see. Let me look at the chats real quick. Oh, I had a piece of apple. First it was a bit sour and then sweet. Just enjoyed keeping it in my mouth longer and enjoyed the flavor more. Wonderful. I had a pear from our yard. The chewing part was interesting as I noticed the smoothness of the peel and the roughness of the fleshy part. The contrasts were more pronounced than just eating the pear. Wow. Isn't that, it's amazing. I mean, it's just amazing. I had a potato chip. I reminded myself that food does not have judgment value. Yes, food does not have judgment value. My chip is neither good nor bad. It's calories that my body can use, and I needed that salt. Ha, touche, hip hip. I agree. had a Far Life protein chocolate milkshake, and unfortunately, I had COVID 4 weeks ago. Oh, I'm sorry. And my test is not back yet, but the texture had surprised me. Cool, creamy, which was enjoyable and satisfying. Oh, wonderful. Oh, I'm so grateful. That's heavenly. So we're surprised. I mean, the overall kind of consensus here is surprise. So surprise yourself again. I'm going to encourage you until we meet next week. Have a moment or two where you're slow and using your senses with your food, and maybe share that with your family, and they'll think you're goofy and strange. But then just, slowing down for appreciation, and those moments of surprise are just wonderful. Let's see what we're going to move on to next. Our meditation primer, getting in a meditation position, posture comfortably. Heidi?
Yes. Hello again. Thank you for that, Laurel.
Sure.
I usually don't slow down, kind of like the M&Ms, Donna, right? I have like a whole little thing here of my little chickpeas, and I just pop them in my mouth and crunch, crunch, crunch. And the next thing I'm not like, who ate the whole bowl of them? I did. So, oh. So in just a little bit, we're going to go back with Laurel guiding us through another mindfulness practice, but a mindful meditation. So before that, we wanted to open it up to discussion to talk about and share some ways that you can make kind of a meditation posture feel more comfortable for you. And often we might think of, having to sit in meditation with legs crossed in a pretzel and just sitting there right on the ground. Sure, you can do that. You can sit with legs crossed. You might want to get some pillows underneath your seat to make that more comfortable if you want to sit on the ground. But that's not the only posture for meditation. You might enjoy standing in meditation, as we did mountain pose. That could be a great way to bring in a little moment to just stand. If you've been seated for a while, you could have eyes open or eyes closed. You might like to sit in a chair if you've been standing for a while, or you still have to sit, but you want to turn on a little meditation, grab a pillow or roll up a blanket or even a coat if you have a coat nearby to put behind your back to make it more comfortable. Or if you want to even put that under your seat, if it's a real hard chair. You also want to think, if you're sitting in a chair, where your feet are landing. If you're so far back in a chair, your feet are kind of floating up. Maybe that's comfortable, but your body also likes to know it's supported. So if you have a little stool, or you have some books, or if you're at home and you have yoga blocks, you could slide those under your feet, and then your feet have a sense of grounding. You could also slide yourself to the edge of a chair until your feet land, if that's comfortable on your back. Right. So thinking of taking your seat, whether that's seated standing, seated on the floor, or seated in a chair, we also want to think about ways we can hold the trunk of our body so that our spine feels steady and tall. As I mentioned earlier, we don't want to try and make a rigid flat back. We want to allow for the natural, organic curves of our spine, but without overdoing it in one way or the other. So when you sit, just accessing some length from root to the top of the head. You also want to consider, where you can release any peripheral tension, whether that's noticing the shoulders are hunched up a little bit or rounded forward. Can that peripheral tension be freed? Are you tense in your hands or fingers? And that's sometimes a fun, curious thing to notice. I noticed that with myself. I'm like, I'm not holding anything, but my hands are acting like they are. So it might feel nice to rest your hands to your legs, softening there. And then even the face, where can you invite some comfort and ease in? You could have your eyes open, maybe gazing at something in front of you, or feel free to close your eyes, but allowing the face, the jaw muscles to have a little break as you settle in. What are some things that Laurel and Julie, do you want to share anything that you find helpful in creating a comfortable, steady seat?
Well, I often scale it to my alertness. Like if I'm really tired, I sometimes sit up a little bit more, and you can actually find that in ancient manuals. I guess people have been struggling for thousands of years with the right posture. And then if I'm really agitated, sometimes it's like I try to massage my shoulders a little bit before.
Yeah, yeah. I do a little bit of stretching and yoga before meditating because I've got to get my body back with me, and I've got get kind of centered, you know. And sometimes I sit on a cushion on the floor, and sometimes in a chair with a blanket behind my lower back because my lower back tends to be a little bit weak. Yeah. And I like it too to imagine like there's this invisible string. Sometimes, like you say, Heidi, that's just kind of pulling you up a little bit.
Yeah, those are great. I'd also like to share, so standing seated, probably not at work unless you're in your office, you have a space for this, but at home, being on your back can be quite comfortable. And if you're in a state where you're like really tired and feel like you're going to fall asleep, maybe you want to sit in a supported position. But sometimes we need to rest on the back because maybe our back is just really achy sitting, and being on your back comfortably, maybe a pillow under the head, knees bent, that might be the best, where that physical activity that might nag you, like Laurel said, she likes to move a little bit. We kind of get some of like the wiggles out so that our body, when our body is a little more comfortable and supported, we're better able to drop into a little more mindfulness and like our interoception of, what's going on within, instead of like, oh man, my shoulders, neck, my lower back, the whole time we're thinking about that. Yeah. So along with taking our seat, like where we're planting ourselves in the moment of mindfulness, we could also consider like what is in our environment and what's around you. And we don't have to create some big fancy place. We could, but really it could be at your office, you're at your desk. It could be, a little corner of a room, or, having a little flower that you want to look at, or a picture. Or sometimes on my phone, I don't have my phone. I don't have my phone nearby. That's nice. But you could have a picture on your phone that you just pop up for yourself that you could look at. Laurel, Julie, do you have what are some things that you like to create your environment that you're in?
Well, in labor, I had little big candles. And for a while I had one at work until it died, but that it kind of creates almost a little ceremony of like, this is time that I'm taking for this, and I'm doing this self-care so I can be with others more.
Yeah. And most of the time I try to tell myself not to make a big deal out of doing meditation, whether it be guided meditation or silent meditation, just like not make a big deal, like, just make it automatic. At the beginning, when I started I put pretty things around that would be pleasant to look at if I did an open-eyed meditation, but mostly I close my eyes because it's more comfortable for me. Thank you, Heidi.
Yeah, I love it. Any thoughts or questions from the group? What are some things that you have found have been helpful if you've already have a mindfulness practice or meditation practice, or some things you kind of want to consider setting up a place for you?
I like to do the float meditation where you're in the salt pod. Does a good job of relieving the back pain and allowing you to extend your spine. And then if I'm doing it at home or at the office, I like to put on a webcam from the ocean.
Yeah,
that's
sounds
great.
beautiful. I love that. That's great. Yeah. And how does that help you?
The webcam with the ocean takes me to a calm space. You never leave the beach feeling agitated. You always leave it feeling calm or refreshed in some way. Kind of takes you back. You can hear the waves, even if there's no sound to it.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. We bring in things, whatever that might be for each and every one of you, right? So a candle, like, I have a lot of these little LED candles, so bumping off of Julie, but like this little candle, flicker of light, like those things, or the an image or sound of an ocean, or looking at a tree or a leaf, or even just landing your gaze at one thing that's in your room that you're like, well, that's interesting. It draws us back in, right? Draws us back into the moment, and it gives us somewhere to settle the mind, settle the body. And then that's like the beginning, right? It's like, whoo. And then from there, opening up to the experience as it unfolds. Yeah. Julie, did you want to share something?
I just got to share this ocean cam is amazing. It's the chat link. Thank you so much, Brian, for providing. I didn't realize it was a live cam. That's amazing. I feel like I'm there.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Very cool.
I gotta figure out,
That's
Brian.
such a cool resource. I'm definitely going to use that.
Yeah.
No. Great. Any other thoughts or even like questions about how you set yourself up? Because Julie's going to share later, considering your environment of where you might practice a regular meditation. That's going to be some of the home practice that we ask you to explore. So any questions or little add-ons? If anybody's typing in the chat. All right, so like somewhere with no noise or any sounds, quiet is relaxing and not distraction or distracting. Yeah, isn't that cool? Like quiet can be comforting and loud too at the same time, right? It's quiet, but then there's the noise of the space that can be very relaxing and comforting. Sitting outside.
Earplugs or headphones can help with that too if you can't go to a place.
Yeah. Sitting outside, lying in bed. Love these. Taking 3 breaths at the start. Working my way down. Yes. Body scans. We'll be doing some of those as we journey through this session together. Yeah. And Holden Beach. Cool. Sunrise in the mountains where I live. That's great, Marcia. Thank you for sharing in the chat, everyone. And I believe Anthony can kind of pull some of these for ideas too that we can think about. You can pull the chat for us.
And if you're watching asynchronously, you can always email us. What we know that some people cannot take the noon hour, so we're thinking of you guys too.
Yeah. And a great reminder to whether you're now with in our discussion or later, like we're not trying to create some like Instagram, this is what meditation needs to look like and everything has to be perfect. And it's just being where you are and utilizing maybe what's around you, but knowing that a meditation practice can happen anywhere. You could be sitting in your car in traffic and, finding a moment. You don't have to be like, I can't meditate today. I can't take a moment of mindfulness because I'm not at home on my meditation cushion with my pictures and flowers and candles all around me. But you could envision that, invoke that, or look around you. What's around you that's inspiring to bring you in? Julie, did you want to share something?
Really anything. Like literally, this is what I was looking at when I was meditating.
A little motorcycle.
Eventually you get kind of used to using whatever you can find.
Yeah.
It kind of brings humor, not to take myself too seriously.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we're going to move on now, Heidi, to our guided meditation.
Yes, we are. Yep. So if you want to take a quick moment, Laurel's going to guide us. If you need to readjust your seat for this moment of mindfulness with Laurel, feel free.
Yes.
And over to you, Laurel. Thanks,
Heidi. Thank you. Yes. So if your legs are crossed, please uncross them so that your energy can flow more easily. And if there's anything distracting in your surroundings, if you can close a door or make it more private for yourself, you can go ahead and do that now. And if you feel comfortable closing your eyes, you can. And during the 8 or so minutes, 6 minutes that we'll be doing this, if you open them and then close them, whatever you feel comfortable with. There's no rule, so to speak. So a fuzzy gaze down, just kind of helping you to go inward. So I'm going to go ahead and close my eyes now because that's comfortable for me. And then let's just take a nice deep inhalation through the nostrils. Hold it a little and let it go with a sigh, or just let it go. And now let's take another cleansing breath through the nostrils and let it go through the nostrils this time. Letting it go. Now I want to invite you on your next inhalation, notice the temperature in your nostrils. Is it cool or is it warm? And your next exhalation through your nostrils, is it cool or is it warm? And feeling your breath in your body. Feeling your breath maybe in your belly, relaxing your belly on your next exhalation. Relaxing your lungs, your left lung and right lung. Noticing your breathing in your body. On your next exhalation, dropping your shoulders and jaw a little bit more. Letting your breath ride like the waves on the ocean. Easy in, easy out. If you hear that typing noise, just let that be part of your meditation. I think I think you just muted, thank you. Whatever you hear, without judgment, just observing. Coming back into your body and breath. Now feeling your feet in your shoes or barefoot. Wiggling your toes. Feeling grounded to the earth. Almost as though you had roots like a tree, grounding you deep into the earth for strength and stability. A feeling of oneness. And now if you could imagine breathing those qualities up your right and left leg, into your right and left hip, and feeling the full weight of your body on what you're sitting. Allowing your breath to bring you into this precious present moment where there's nowhere to go and nothing to do, just being here now, without judgment, allowing yourself to be with kindness in your heart, kindness for all that you do. How your breathing is automatic. Saying to yourself, as I breathe in, I know I'm breathing in. As I breathe out, I know I'm breathing out. Just focusing on the breath. And thoughts and sounds may distract you, and that's all okay. Just gently and kindly bring your awareness back to your breath in your body. Back to maybe feeling the temperature in your nostrils again. That easy flow of in and out like the waves on the ocean. Allowing yourself to be, letting go a little bit more. Now gently bringing your awareness back to your room, back to your feet grounded to the earth. And if your eyes are closed, slowly take your time opening them and just be with yourself and ask yourself, how am I feeling now? And however you're feeling is okay. However you're feeling is okay. If you're feeling relaxed, it's okay. If you're feeling anxious, it's okay. Just notice without judgment. All your feelings are okay. Honoring yourself for coming today. It's huge. It's huge taking that time, this hour for yourself. So pat yourself on the back a little bit, please. Yes, it feels good. Yes, yes. And stretch your neck if you feel like it. Stretch your back. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And now we're going to come to our closing time where we're going to have a little discussion, a little talk. Julie?
Yeah, so we're inviting you in the course of the week to based on our, we don't have any set rules, maybe creating a little mindful space in your home or office, and then the online, what's called homework, is really just a couple questions and Qualtrics. One will be like what you're hoping to gain from the course, how you might be arranging, what you might be tweaking in your environment. So they're just very short. They should take less than 5 minutes. And then daily, we hope that, if you remember, eating the first bite of a meal mindfully can be a nice way to set the tone of a meal. I love the idea of sharing it with your family or friends. And then practicing the 6 movements of the spine. There are some video links that you can do it with. If you do it quickly, it really can. We once timed it. It takes 90 seconds to do all the practices, all the movements, or you could just do one, just doing, the stretch, or just when you're standing in line somewhere, standing in mountain pose. Good idea. So, just like realizing, oh yeah, instead of, just getting like another cup of coffee, let's see, maybe just like doing the stretches might help extend my alertness or energy. Also, what mindfulness isn't, this is why I present the science. It's either overhyped or it's hyped, or it's like anti-hyped in weird ways. Mindfulness eating gurus call for silence at the table. Where's the fun in that? No, that's not how it works. Maybe if you're on like a strict retreat or something, but it's meant to bring you in the present moment, so you're more there and available with the people that you might be dining with, right? This is about being in the present moment. Here are some of our resources. So we have, I think this is our YouTube. I don't have the thing for our website. But we also have a Facebook page where we'll post some, links and updates and videos. And on that Facebook site, there's a ton of videos of different yoga and meditations that you can try out throughout the course or the week and beyond. And then our WB Medicine Wellness website has, when we do some group sessions, either with Zoom, we have videos, we have yoga sessions. So there's lots of opportunity to keep engaging in these practices.
Yes, thank you, Julie. Yes. Any last comments anyone would like to ask or share?
Here's our app poll, if you don't mind taking a sec to really, it'll take you about as much time to do the Qualtrics, I think, unless you're like wanting to take a picture of your space. There's an opportunity to share a picture.
Yeah.
It helps us communicate with you too. It's a great place to communicate questions. We do read the responses.
Yeah. Well, we want to honor your time, and it's right at the 1 hour. But again, thank you for honoring yourself and for taking this time to come for you. It really means a lot. Yeah. And I hope you have a beautiful week,
everyone.
Heidi.
Yes, just saying thank you. Thank you everyone for showing up. What a great group here. And for those watching later, thank you for clicking play to take time for you there.
Yes.